as the praise team exits and the Kenyan team heads on up, go ahead and take your places. This is our third year that we went to Kenya. First year, we took some water filters, kind of got a lay of the land. About 4 years ago, Isaac asked, we were at Barnes, both of us working as chaplains, and he looked at me, he goes, "Hey, come to Kenya." I said, "Hey, okay." And so that started the mission trip. And the next year, we sent about 1.2 tons of equipment and clothing and everything else over to Kenya and learned how to do international shipping. And this year, we had it all planned, ready to go, and I did not end up going. So they ended up with a lot of challenges as they went that they had to overcome, but God is good. One thing sure about a mission trip, it never goes like you planned. So it always, you got to be ready to adjust. So I look forward to hearing them today. So it's all you guys.
All right. Well, we are glad to be here today, glad to share what we saw and God did in Kenya. And as Pastor said, I think the theme of the trip was perseverance in spite of changes, and so good to have the team back together today. And with that, we'll just jump in because I hear there's a barbecue this afternoon. So we're going to talk about our mission trip. Why'd we end up in Kenya? Well, certainly because God wanted us there, I believe. And I see Pastor Isaac back here. Pastor Isaac met Pastor Steve at Barnes and said, "Hey, you ought to come join me in Kenya, see what God's doing." And Pastor reads a bunch of books, so he read a book by Bob Goff that when a door opens, you just jump through it if you can. And so, yeah, third year here, and just what a great opportunity. So to introduce the team, they're sitting up here with me. We're down one member. Wish the whole band was together. If Linda sees this, she's definitely missed today. But we've got Saskia, and we've got 4 first-time missionaries, I believe, 4 first-time to Africa. So quite a bunch of firsts this time. Saskia, we've got David, we've got Beth, and we've got Miss Becky. We're missing Linda. We certainly had you as our church family. We knew you were supporting. We felt we were the ambassadors to go over and check out this medical clinic that we've rallied behind as a congregation, and we'll be sharing more about that. Certainly Pastor Isaac, he was our boots on the ground, our organizer, is what they call the planners in Kenya. If they have to figure something out, let's organize. And certainly Pastor Steve. We miss Pastor Steve. He did a bunch of planning. We wished he was there, and we were going to trudge forward and bring our 5 loaves and 2 fish and see what God would do with them. So with that, we're going to break this into 2 parts. We're going to share the 6 main ministry areas that we were involved in. It was a 10-day trip, about 3 days of travel, and then about 6 days of ministry, and 1 day we spent going to a safari while we were in country there. So we're going to talk about those 6 areas, and we're going to try to step through them fairly quickly here. So we started with Vacation Bible School. I think when we planned last year and talked about it, first time we did Vacation Bible School, they said maybe we might have 1,000 kids, and we were like, whoa. We wanted to feed them lunch. We wanted to share also just an impactful series with them, which we did, about building our lives on the solid rock of Jesus, about having our heart aligned towards God like the prodigal son, a repentant heart full of love, then using our hands, our 5 loaves and 2 fish to bless others, and then getting our head in the game, getting our whole selves out there, fulfilling the Great Commission. So we ended up with 180 kids, I think, the first day, and the second day we had 250 kids. We had to change the times. We didn't have time to prepare when we got there. They squeezed it from 3 days into 2 because we were hoping the kids would be off school, but they had to get special permission to be off on Saturday. But we had a great time with the kids, and just a few photos here. We taught them the song about feet, heart, hands and head, hands and head. So we sung that a lot of times, enjoyed that. We have a picture of Dave and Saskia teaching. Beth was a great helper with me with the older crew that we had out in a tent. We taught the kids, we used story sticks. Oh, I forgot my story sticks today, but they're basically oh, Becky brought the sticks. Look at Becky. We basically used those sticks to tell stories. We could make hats and hearts, and we could make them walk. We made little windows looking out of your houses that were built on the rock, which you see the little young man doing. And so we just had a great time doing that, and it really helped the kids. We did feed them lunch. You could see the kitchen here, somewhat rudimentary there. A couple pots, and I don't know if they had propane tanks or what, but boy, just good to see these kids eat. And I remember last year, the only thing I saw them eat was porridge, which was just some really thin kind of oatmeal. And so to see them with full plates and smiles on their faces, you all helped do that. So we were privileged to see that firsthand. More of the feeding line, they're eating up at the circle up there, and then the younger kids were eating in the sanctuary there. So we just had a great time with those guys. They actually made a cake, put the memory verse, which was Matthew 7:24, the wise man building his house upon the rock. We gave out flour to each of the families, or each of the children actually got a bag of flour. We were going to give rice and beans, and they said, oh, it would be more of a treat if we gave flour. So all of them walked out with flour, and we had a little extra to be able to help out some others in the community, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Here was the team, all of the teachers and our 6 team members. We gave all the teachers Bibles. There are very few Bibles over there. Most of them never had a Bible, so we were privileged to give those out. And we also handed out tracts. We've got a few tracts here, and while I'm thinking about it, in case we forget at the end, we invite everybody to join us. We'll try to be down by the table. If you have any questions, or if you're sticking around for the barbecue, we'd love to show you a few things we collected, tell a few stories. We brought back a lot of name tags of the kids on a board so we could pray for them and remember them. But we handed them also tracts, one for them and one for a friend, so they could give it to somebody else. It has all the salvation scriptures, and none of these little kids have Bibles. So I'm just thinking these kids are going to be hopefully having these for years, sitting next to their bedside, and all of the core salvation scriptures there with them. So just a privilege. So that was our first aspect. Our second aspect was we went out into the community trying to model for the local church, just to encourage them to get out and meet the needs of the community. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Becky.
Okay, so raise your hand if you know that we sponsor kids for School for Kenya. Okay, so not everybody knows this. We have 6 kids that we've been sponsoring in Kenya for secondary school and a couple for college. And the reason for that is in Kenya, the kids don't get to go to high school unless they can pay for it and they have good enough marks. So we were given some children who had good marks and would need the assistance to help their families, because basically once they get out of high school, they're the ones that will get the jobs and support their families. So while we were doing Vacation Bible School, that Sunday we got to meet with some of the parents and some of the kids. So this first picture, set of pictures, has that first meeting. And there's one lady in the bottom picture that you can see is wearing sunglasses. She's legally blind. She can't see. And her son's name is John. And we're supporting John in college. He is doing a schooling at the Kenya Institute of Highways and Building Technology. And it will be up to him after he graduates to get that job and take care of his mom. Dad's not around. So that was a pretty important meeting. That was the only time we got to meet with her. Then we got to meet with the kids again at the clinic build site. As you can see there, we saw Joy, Esther, Wendy, and Peter. And we got to talk to them and kind of find out what they're interested in doing as jobs later on. So we got to meet with Peter, who, raise your hand if you're part of the young adult group that's been sponsoring Peter. Okay, so there's Peter, your child in Kenya, and he's in high school, and he wants to be a pastor, which pretty much floored us because we had no idea. We hadn't gotten to talk to him, but he wants to be a pastor, so pray for Peter. Wendy is another one of our high school kids that we've sponsored, and she wants to be a doctor. So our doctors in the house, be praying for Wendy that she can do that. The next one shows Esther. She wants to be a business owner. There's very few people that get to that point in Kenya, but that's her dream. And then there's Joy, who was sponsored by Sweet Vicky and Frank. And Joy was so overjoyed to think that there was a possibility that she might be able to call and talk to Vicky while we were there. And all she got to do was leave a message, but she was happy at least that she was able to try and reach out. And she wants to be an air hostess, which was kind of interesting because I was like, what's an air hostess? I did. All I heard was hostess, and I'm like, what does that mean? Well, we found out that's a what, Beth?
It's a flight attendant.
And the reason that was so important was because Beth is a flight attendant. So she got to share that joy with Joy. This is the one that was the most impactful for me. So last year when our son TJ got to go with us, we met a family of a young man named Michael. And Michael is a type 1 diabetic. And when we went to meet with their family, Michael was having a diabetic episode. And they had no medical care for him, no medicine, nothing. They couldn't afford it. And Michael couldn't even speak or stand when we got there. And they said, the only thing we can do when he gets like this is take him inside so that he can rest. And so they did that. And about a month after we got back, we found out that Michael had passed away from diabetes, which, you know, here in the United States, we don't even think about that. Type 1 diabetes is treatable for the most part, right? So anyway, we are sponsoring his sister Eunice, who's older, and she wants to be a nurse because she wants to be able to help people like her brother and make sure that they have a quality life.
All right. I think I kind of jumped the gun a little bit. That wasn't the community. That was our sponsoring of the students. And many, you know, the way I understood is a lot of the students, I think school is paid through maybe 6th grade. Mm-hmm. And after that, if you don't have the financial means, a lot of families get trapped in poverty with no real easy way out. And if you help one family member, you don't have to help their siblings. As Becky had alluded, they'll come back and take care of their family. So it's so little. The young adults know. I mean, it's nothing that we do, and we're supporting a pastor. So pretty neat. And the story about the young man that passed dovetails into the medical clinic, which was our third area. We went and visited the site. You can see a picture in the background. It's already about waist high. We got a tour of the site, an explanation of the plan. Right now, they're going to be building the clinic on the first level, but they have dreams of a second and third floor on it eventually to meet the needs of a growing community. I think they had some skyscrapers out in the back. It's a pretty remote place, but it looks like it's going to be an excellent facility. I shared on Friday night. Sometimes we drive around and you'll see medical clinics that others have made in Kenya. And they look very crude. It doesn't look like you'd necessarily want to go there unless you were extremely sick, maybe with plywood and not well taken care of. So it was a blessing to me to see this church basically taking it under their wing. They're going to be the ones to ensure that it's staffed, that they have the equipment that they need. And so pretty neat to do our little part there. We all got a chance for all of you, for those, I talked to some, for those that have contributed and prayed. I think we probably felt like we were dropping a stone on the wall or mortaring or pouring water on the mortar, kind of as your guys' hands and feet. So it was kind of neat. We all kind of laughed that maybe when they were done, they took down our part of the wall and and kind of actually did it right, but they straightened it, yes. So we got a picture of me dropping one. We've got Linda and Saskia and Dave doing some troweling there. There's Saskia and
Just the water.
Linda, just putting the water to make sure the mortar. Pastor Isaac in there. Beth, boy, she's quite the construction person, I learned here. So she was in there. She was showing them how we build things with wood back here and everything. And Becky got in there and was doing some troweling, so we all had a good time. And that does bring us, I believe, to the community outreach portion, which I thought we were talking about before, but this is where we actually went out into the community. And I know it looks like a lush garden, but you kind of walk down this little trail and into some pretty humble, tin-roofed buildings. So I'll turn it back to Becky to talk about our family outreaches.
Before I just speak, does anybody want to talk about the family outreach time a little bit? Anybody it had an impact on you specifically? Yeah?
It had an impact on me. Basically, I'd never seen such, I want to say poverty, but it's not really poverty, the living conditions and the pristine beauty of Kenya itself. And as we were going into the first home and seeing the water filters and how everything was immaculate, no matter how much they had or how little they had, everything was just in its place, in order. Being a missionary is something that does not come easily to me, and I did not understand exactly what a missionary's heart entails. And it took a little bit of Becky just kind of grounding me a little bit to see that this is part of the process. And so what affected me a lot was the water filters and how long they'd had it and how everything was still in order and they were still putting one foot in front of the other. It impacted me. It really did.
So the first family that we met with is somebody that our team from the last couple of years had met before. Her name's Felicia, and her dad is James. The first time that we met her, Felicia has 4 younger siblings. She had contracted spinal meningitis not long before we went the first year. And the first year, Mom was there. Before we even got there the second year, Mom had run away. She abandoned the family. She could not handle Felicia's condition. She can't talk, she can't feed herself, she can't walk, she can't even sit up on her own. And so she needs 24-hour care. And right now, that's her dad is doing all of that. Last year, we talked about trying to find a caregiver for her. And we were going to sponsor a caregiver so that Dad could go back and work and, everything would be worked out, but that didn't happen. They weren't able to find someone. But what they did do is they found a place where she can go to get care. And so at the end, Pastor Steve is going to talk about what's next for our team and our partnership with these parishes. But pray for Felicia. It's amazing that she's even alive still at this point. She needs lots of care. The next one that we went to was another one that we'd met before. Cynthia, last year we found out that she was growing out of her wheelchair, and the need that they asked us to help with last year was getting a custom wheelchair built for her. And so we got to meet her and see her in the new chair. I believe the chair cost under $300. And TJ was the one that gave money so that she would have a new wheelchair. He was so impacted by everything. I kind of wish he was able to be here to share again. Because of his new job, he was not able to go on the trip this year. But it was amazing to get to see her and the new chair that they had built for her. So one thing we didn't mention, initially we were visiting and partnering with one parish called the Karuthi Parish. And between last year and this year, the parish subdivided into 2 parishes. We got to go to a new church plant that they had there, which is where we actually did Vacation Bible School this year. And because of the new church, they needed to, again, split into a couple of parishes because each parish requires a pastor. And so that would give the pastor more of an ability to be at each church more regularly. So this is at the Mataguta parish. We got to meet Grace, who is legally blind, has a lot of developmental issues that she's been dealing with all of her life. And she's in a place now where she needs to have a shunt replacement surgery. So that was a need that they shared with us. The picture on the right is a family that is in dire poverty. Neither of the parents are able to find work that's regular, and so they depend on others for their daily needs. They've got 4 kids, and the only need that was shared there was they need basics. They need some clothes. They need some school supplies. We don't think about that so much here because we see all around us all of the school supply drives and clothing ministries and all of that, which they don't have there. So those were the 4 families that we got to visit with this year.
All right, and that brings us to our 5th area, was visiting the orphanage. Both parishes sponsor an orphanage, so we got to go and take balls and sports equipment that you guys purchased through the 6-7 campaign, and so we got to deliver those. We found out the kids weren't there. They had a little break to give the staff a break, and they found sponsors to take the kids, and so that was a little disappointing. It's always nice to see the kids, but it gave us a little different flavor of getting a little bit more of a tour of the facility. We got to see the dorm rooms where the kids stay. We got to meet Moses, who was a graduate of the orphanage, or he grew up in the orphanage, and I believe
He was 7 years old when he first got there, and so they have school on site at the orphanage through 6th grade, and then they go to high school, but they still live at the orphanage, and he just graduated from college. So pray for Moses. He's looking for next steps. His life was in the orphanage, so now he's asking God, what's next?
Yeah.
Remember, you taught them how to do the Frisbee. You and David, you all taught the pastors how to throw Frisbees.
We did. They didn't know what a Frisbee was, so we had to do a little teaching there, and I'm sure we would have done it with the kids too, but I didn't realize how dangerous of a toy it is if you don't know what you're doing, and how difficult it is to make that thing work. But got a picture of Saskia taking a picture of the lawnmower in the back there.
Sheep.
A little sheep going to work. They've got their own cows for their own milk, and that's Elder Stevie. He was great. Oh, there he is with the Frisbee. We had a parachute that we were showing them how to use that, and had a lot of fun doing that. But and then a group picture, just the group out talking with some of the leaders there. This was the first time I think we had tea in Kenya, and so when we were at the orphanage, so we enjoyed that. That's always enjoyable and a big custom over there. So, but we had a great time at the orphanage and seeing what God was doing there and talking to the leadership there. And I don't know if anybody else has any thoughts on the orphanage or.
Is this on? Hello? Okay. So on the orphanage, we did get a chance to talk to Moses that had been there for most of his life, and we asked him what would help them there. And he stated letters of encouragement, clothing items. They never asked for anything big. It was always something, just somebody praise me on. So that might be something that you can do with the children here, is letters of encouragement to the orphanage there, to the children.
Excellent, excellent. I know Dave was impacted by it too. I mean, it was just interesting. And I'm not even talking about the parachute, but.
Well, it was a disappointment that the kids weren't there, but it's nice to know that they get out for 2 weeks every year, so they get a break from the orphanage. But yeah, meeting Moses and talking with Moses was kind of like a big impact because he grew up there. So he spent his entire life there, and he made it through college. So it's a huge success story. And I knew that Beth had some insight into what he had said would be a huge benefit for the kids that live there in the orphanage. So if we can help out, that would be a good thing.
Yeah, and I'd say if the kids were there, we would have been way off schedule. It's hard to get away from them. They love to touch your skin and touch your hair, which they did at VBS quite a bit. So we did have the team get that experience. I mean, they just love, for some, it's maybe the only, Westerner or American that they'll ever meet in their lives. So it is kind of neat and special. And that,
Hair on my arms, and they don't have hair on their arms.
David had a bunch of hair on his arm. Yeah,
And
yeah.
there was about 10 or 15 young people that had their hands all over Beth's hair just because it was so different. They're not used to it.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. We got pictures of where TJ got mobbed last year, and they kind of all piled on, touching his beard and his head. And so, which brings us to our last area, which was ministering to the church in Naruku County. So I'll turn it back to Becky to walk us through that.
So before it was time for us to leave, we found out news that there was a PCEA pastor in Kenya that had been murdered. His name was Julius. And I guess Pastor Isaac and Pastor Steve talked and decided that we needed to go and encourage them. And so they made arrangements for that. It took us 4.5 hours drive to get there, so we left very early. I think that was the day we left at 5 in the morning to get to the Tabuga Church, where we found out that his wife was still struggling a lot with the loss and just was not able to be there, which was very humbling. We met the new pastor there who's only been there for a month and trying to help this congregation navigate through this ordeal. It was there that we handed out the 67 water filters that you all purchased with the 6-7 campaign. There's pictures of just the demonstration of how to use it. The water that they brought out at first was so chunky, there was no way a filter could do anything with it. So I asked him to take some of the chunks out before we tried. And then, of course, had to drink the water to show him that, it's safe.
Kudos to you.
Very
Dave
great.
was like, I ain't drinking any of that. You can see in the picture how dirty it was. It was just brown.
They didn't have any Dixie cups, and I was thankful.
So each one of the team members was blessed with being able to pass out water filters to the different leaders and families that were there. The young man in the picture on the left was a representative of one of the farther away churches, and I'm guessing he's a teenager, but he was very... he paid a lot of attention. He really wanted to be able to share and teach others how to use these water filters. So he demonstrated back for them that he knew how to do that. We also gave away sports equipment to these churches as well because, again, we've got hearts for kids here, and we wanted to share something where they could help the kids learn about Jesus, giving them those extra ways of teaching, just like with the story sticks. Kids learn through exposure and by doing, so the more we can get them doing things, the better they learn.
All right. Yeah, and this was the picture of the team handing out the filters, and we even gave away the suitcase. They can use anything that we can bring over there, so we were blessed to be able to give away a big suitcase or two as well. And I think that brings us, those were the 6 ministry areas we had. We were going to give each of the team members that was their first time just a chance to share a few thoughts of maybe what they were expecting, why they went, what they saw God doing. And I know Linda shared on Friday night. What a privilege to have Linda there. If Linda was here, we should have grabbed her little, I think she had a write-up. We should have grabbed it so we could have wrote it to you. But I know Linda had some issues. We all struggled a little bit with malaria pills, stomach, eating some different foods. Nothing terrible, but Linda was having a few reactions to some of that, particularly with the sun. And so she felt bad, but man, she encouraged us so much. And it wouldn't have been the same without her or each one of these guys. Just getting to bond with people that we didn't probably really know each other that well before we started. Man, but how close we became through adversity and serving and just experiencing something new together. So Linda was first up. She had a great time, and we were so glad she could go. And I believe next is Saskia.
It was one of the best things of my life. I'm a veteran, so I'm lived outside the United States before in Germany, and so I know a little bit about living outside of the United States. But when you go in a capacity of serving, that puts a little bit of a spin on everything. I'm humbled to the bottom of my shoes to be part of such a trip, such a mission. It has been an impactful part of my life. I do intend to go back and prayerfully, Lord willing, with His guidance, I will eventually move over to Kenya. Right now, we're in the book of Ruth here at church, and their people literally, truthfully, are transforming me to be their people or my people. And of course, you know, our God is their God, and their God is our God. Jesus is so good. And one of the pastors there said that Kenyans are notoriously religious. I believe it. I believe it wholeheartedly. And they chase after God with all their heart, mind, soul, and strength. And just seeing, like without even having a lot of Bibles, the memorization and the dedication and the quality of teaching, it humbled me. It humbled me. It humbled this American. And I'm so glad and I'm so thankful to be part of this trip, one of many.
Right. Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. And then that brings us to Miss Beth. You are up, and then Dave is going to wrap it up.
Okay. So my name's Beth. I am actually a visitor to the church. I've been here several times. I know David that lives here in Godfrey. Kind of got a last-minute invite to go to Kenya. As she said before, I am a flight attendant, so I have been on foreign soil a lot. But it's very different being a tourist versus being on a mission trip and actually going down and getting in the culture and working with the people there in Kenya. I had a wonderful, wonderful experience there. The country is beautiful. The people are very, very sweet, nice, will do anything for you. They were very, very helpful. I will definitely go back again. Yes, definitely. And I just want to get an applause for Becky here. She carried this team. Steve had to step out at the last minute, but she was our mama.
Yes.
Everything.
Yes.
And it just seemed like every day somebody pulled the weight of the team. We were strangers when we started, but we're family now, and it's definitely worth a trip, worth going.
My goal was to get Beth to stop introducing herself as a guest or a visitor. I'm like, no, girl, you're part of the family.
That's right.
All right, David, are you ready?
Yeah, sure. So the kids were amazing, really smart, very kind, very helpful, very curious about who we were and the differences that we all have. But words can't describe being in the crowd and having them listen to you and hear what you have to say about Jesus. But honestly, they are very solid Christian people. The Spirit of God lives in them. It is easy to see. And the amazing thing is they know who Jesus is. They know God the Father. And they don't have hardly any Bibles to learn from. So it's all word of mouth and memorization. It's absolute amazing to me that the Spirit of God flourishes without God's word there in Mass. So if we can help them out with Bibles, I think that'd be a huge thing. I think, so, and I hope this doesn't embarrass Linda, but so they were very impressed with Beth's hair, the hair on my arms, but later on in the week it was Linda's turn, and they did her hair, but she had the flap underneath her arms, and they were absolutely fascinated by this. Linda was not offended at all. She just loved the fact that they were fascinated with her and how she was put together and how different she was. So the smallest little thing.
They didn't do that to me, but because they are a little bit of a darker hue, one of the ladies at the parish reached out to me and she says, "And Africa has your color too." I'm like,
Hey, they said Africa has my color too.
"Oh yes."
They did.
Yes.
They said I fit in pretty good, and I was
Yes.
like, yeah, well, I'm South African.
The team did great. And I guess we just threw a few pictures in here. This was like the end after you've gotten through everything we really came to do. But we did go on a safari. I think all these pictures, I think Becky, in addition to being the team leader, team mom, she had the best camera for sure. I think probably most of these came from Becky. But to see all these animals, we saw some driving up to the church north of Nairobi, just wandering around. These were in the nature preserve, but huge one, big one. But
On our way there to the preserve, we saw an elephant on the side of the road, and our driver stopped, and this elephant got on his back legs and reached his trunk up and grabbed a branch on the tree to pull it down to eat the leaves or whatever it eats. And he's like, nobody ever gets to see that. So we got to see that, and I think somebody got to film it. So
yeah, we did. Yeah, it was real neat. This is a picture at the safari at the hotel there, team meeting. Somebody's plate of food, somebody eating a lamb leg over there. I started the presentation, and Becky added a few things that I wouldn't have put in there, and she told me it was too late to take anything out. So anyway, here we are. We celebrated Beth's birthday. Boy, that was nice. We celebrated it twice. We had some good times. There was a little quick mart next to us, and we bought ice cream off the shelf and a cake, and we ordered a couple pizzas, but we had a good time. And then a picture of a few of us in the safari van there. So it brings us to, would you consider joining us next year? Whether it's Kenya, whether it's, I hear Guatemala, that sounds interesting. Anywhere that God can start to change the way we think about things. We don't have to go to a foreign country either. There's people all around us. To me, that's the thing about, when you do go somewhere into a foreign country, it gets you thinking. But to me, I always hope that one thing that I come back with is like, I don't have to go to do that. God's got plenty of opportunity right around me. And just as we taught the kids, like each one of us, like myself included, we need to figure out how to challenge ourselves to get more in the game, right? When we think about what Christ has done for us, he gave everything for us. All we try to do is show God's love for each one of them, because we know God loves each one of them. It makes it so easy to love them, and it should be that easy for us to love those around us because God loves them so much. So consider joining us. I think Pastor's going to come up and share some needs. The worship team might be coming back up to do a song, and we invite you to join the team down at the table down here if you have any questions, and enjoy some barbecue with us as well. Look forward to saying hello to a lot of you.
Okay, so you heard a little bit of the ask. One is Bibles, the other one is children's clothes. The second year we sent over medical equipment, some other stuff. I think we know how to do it. It doesn't cost that much. And if one thing America has is too much clothing. So we'll begin to collect that. We'll ship that over. I think last time we shipped it, and we shipped 3 or 4 containers. We'll probably only do 1 or 2 this time. I think it was like $1,700 is what it cost us to ship everything halfway around the room. Doesn't matter the weight, it's only the size that matters. So, and we know how to do it this time, so we don't have to pack it like 4 times. Very grateful to May. She helped me pack and repack and unpack and repack until we got it right. Another thing you heard about Felicia. So this is really a call to you. First of all, do not give any more money to the medical clinic, okay? Isn't that weird? Pastor saying don't give money. Please don't give any more money. Like we've got, are you ready for this? We've got over $7,000 over what we needed. So stop. All right. But we do, so little Felicia, to have her go to a clinic that she can actually get care. Right now, it's in the pictures don't really tell you where she is. It's a 1-room shack with a little place and a bed that her dad, the 3 siblings, and her, that's all they have. And 1 chair that sits in the middle. Her dad is doing the best he can in that place, but wouldn't it be great if we could send her to somewhere where she could actually be taken care of? And I know over here in America, that would be a lot of money. And since we're doing it direct, there's no middle person. We're literally just paying the bill, okay? So $1 out of $1 will go toward this. For 3 months, or for 4 months, for 4 months, it's $272.79. 4 months in therapy. They provide her diapers, her cleaning, everything she needs. $272.79. An entire year, $818.37. I think we can do that. I think maybe if there's a few of us in here that says, you know what, Steve, I'll cover that first 3 months or 4 months, and then somebody says I'll cover the next 4 months, or I'll cover the next 4 months. We can do it as a body, or you just want to write down and say Felicia on top of an envelope. Just do that. I think this is the 3rd year. I can't believe she's still there. I can't believe she's still alive. And she broke our hearts the first time. She broke TJ's heart the second time. She broke Saskia's heart the 3rd time. We can do this. So if any of you feel led to do that, just put it. We'll make sure that it gets paid over there. Like I said, for the entire year, okay? $800. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine sending somebody here to a full service care to take care of your loved one for $818.37? Maybe for an hour. But this is for an entire year where she will actually get the care that she needs. So that's the ask. The ask is to bring in your clothes, your children's clothes. Not right now. We'll tell you when. Otherwise, we don't have any place to store it, and we don't know when we're doing it. We'll have to do it 3 months in advance. It takes 3 months to get from here to there, so we can hand it out to these families that they just want clothes. Used clothes. Don't go out and buy new clothes unless you want to, but just clothes, just children's clothes. And Bibles. They have no Bibles over there. They got Bibles in their brain better than we do. They memorize Scripture, but they have no physical Bibles. It means the world to them. And it can be the ones you buy in bulk, the ones that are just paperback is the world to them. So I think we can do that. I think by next year, I'm not really sure when the date is going to be, but I think by next year we can do that. We can take care of this little girl, and we can ship over some clothes and some Bibles. Can't we? Doesn't that seem like a godly thing to do? All right. Go ahead, Billy.
Put a new song in my mouth. Give me something to sing about. Put my feet upon that rock. Standing on your You come through now like you did back then. Time and time and time again. Almighty fortress, my defense. Time and time and time again. You come through now like you did back then. Time and time and time again. Mighty fortress, my defense. Time and time and time again. Time